This is a production of the Hardway HQ Podcasting Network. Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Unfiltered here, hardwayhq.com via the Hardway HQ Podcasting Network. I'm Jon Harder, and I'm so happy to be bringing you this exclusive version of Unfiltered. It's going to be every Sunday morning on the Hardway HQ Podcasting Network, as well as Instagram on Instagram at the Hardway HQ, and it's going to be on YouTube as well. Hardway HQ, we don't have a name for it yet. We barely have any subscribers, but I feel like this is something where we can go and get some fans to check out the podcast in different ways, and it's just a way to bring eyes to Hardway HQ and try something different. That's all I've always been about, trying something different. And here on Unfiltered, it's going to be raw, uncut, and it's just going to be me doing one take of getting my thoughts out. And if I say something that might be out of line, it's here for the world to see. It's here for exposing myself as someone who just is giving his legit feelings, and he can't take away because there's going to be no cuts. And if you want to see the audio file of it when it's all said and done, the proof will be in the pudding there. So, this first edition of Unfiltered, obviously it's going to be built around the latest tragedy in many senses of the word that has transpired throughout the year 2020. Obviously, if you've been watching the news, you know it's been around the Jacob Blake story, incident with police up in Wisconsin. His police record, that can't be disputed. He's had a lot of charges against him. He's done, obviously, time. He was being searched for a warrant that was out for his arrest, and he was tased twice. Didn't do any effect. He threatened to go get a weapon from his car, according to Wisconsin police. And as he turned his back to go to the car, he was shot in the back 7 times. Now, I'm not one to go into complete facts here, because again, that's not what I'm here to talk about today. But the fact that if it was 7 times in the back, mind you, not facing forward, I have a little bit of a problem with that. 7 times in the back. Come on, that's incredibly excessive. And it's completely unnecessary, and it shows the way the country has reacted. Again, I don't think they're disputing what Jacob Blake has done or did throughout his life. It's the fact that it was 7 times in the back. In the back. And especially, it wasn't face-to-face. That's another big thing I have. It was to his back. And according to reports, he's been paralyzed from the waist down. He'll never be able to walk again. Unbelievable. So, obviously, the NBA and NHL they took some games off to support Mr. Blake in this situation. And at the same time, MLB, Major League Baseball, had decided to do the same thing with certain teams. Some teams played, some teams didn't. And when it comes to this situation with the Mets and the Marlins, when they basically postponed the game, they walked out to the field. The Mets were led by Billy Hamilton and Dominic Smith. They walked out. They did a 42-second moment of silence, and then they walked off. And the game was postponed. And for me, as a sports fan, who I will not lie, I wish that all the leagues played. But again, sometimes in life there are bigger issues. To me, I felt that the 42-second tribute and moment of silence was incredibly strong. And that's more indicative of the influence that Jackie Robinson has brought to baseball. I thought it was incredibly classy. And ironically, the next day, it was Jackie Robinson Day. This is where it gets a little tough for me, because I am a huge fan of Jackie Robinson, not just as a player, but to me he's one of the greatest men in the history of America. This is a man who literally helped break that color barrier in baseball. This is a man who is of strong conviction, a total athlete, a real man who withstood so much hatred and vitriol and disrespect. And he still overcame it, became the first African American to play Major League Baseball. He put the years of the Negro Leagues and Satchel Paige and just countless Josh Gibson and countless other players from the Negro Leagues on his back and made history and completely changed the sporting world forever in America. Jackie Robinson is, in my opinion, the single greatest influence in American sports history. And it's so amazing to see that his work, his life's work, really has been remembered to this day. I mean, the Pee Wee Reese, Jackie Robinson statue outside of the Brooklyn Cyclone Stadium in Coney Island, Brooklyn. Look at look at Jackie Robinson Day, like I alluded to. I mean, this year it's obviously been a little late because of COVID-19 and the entire pandemic that's been happening in this country. But every April 15th, starting from 1997, under the watchful eye of Jackie Robinson's widow, Rachel, and President Bill Clinton, Jackie Robinson Day has been a major focal point in the world of baseball, and a well-deserved notion at that. And the ultimate thing is that movie 42 that came out several years ago in the 2010s, which basically just details the struggles that Jackie Robinson has had and he went through. And I'm not going to lie to you. I truly believe the amount of stress and anger and anxiety that Jackie Robinson had to go through, especially during 1947, throughout his entire run as a Brooklyn Dodger, I truly feel in my heart that led to the stress and his ultimate diabetes, type 2 diabetes diagnosis and ultimate passing away. I think the stress and the anger that he had in him throughout his entire remainder of his life was because of that run, and it cost him his life. And I think you could detail it in 42, an amazing movie. And it's kind of apropos that Chadwick Boseman, the man who played Jackie Robinson, passed away at the age of 43 on Jackie Robinson Day 2020. I find that to be so damn apropos that happened. And you hear the stories of Chadwick Boseman being a man who had stage 3 colon cancer, and then it went up to stage 4, and he fought for 4 years with the deadly disease. And we all know my personal dealings with colon cancer and my father's diagnosis and ultimate passing at 58 years old. And unrelated to that, I hope everybody goes to the Colorectal Cancer Alliance in support of this deadly disease. But just seeing the respect and history that Chadwick Boseman had on him, especially in the final years of his life, still making countless movies, visiting terminal ill kids in the hospital, despite his diagnosis, and doing a lot of things, including the Black Panther Marvel movie, which I have not watched. I don't watch movies. Jackie Robinson's a rare exception. I love anything involving baseball, and I thought he was tremendous in that. But just reading about his history, through various articles and news stories and press clippings over the past couple of days, you just see the amazing strength of an amazing man. And Mr. Boseman will be missed. And seeing that transfer over with Jackie Robinson, I just found it apropos that, on this day, a day that Jackie Robinson, we remembered, the man who played Jackie Robinson in 42 passed. And I feel like in this country, especially with everything that's gone on, there are so many, and baseball in particular, there are several strong African-American influences in the game today that have definitely taken on, the Jackie Robinson, mantra and being a true, strong-willed individual as well as athlete. And for me, I was able to see 3 of them, and becoming way more open-minded and learning and trying to understand everything. I love to research everything. We have 3 athletes that have worn Mets colors that have transcended the game and have really been a positive influence on their communities. And obviously one would be Eric Young Jr., who is the National League stolen base champion. I'm a huge fan of his play. EY has given back to his hometown of Piscataway High School, especially with this year, watching these kids perform in the Last Dance tournament with the coronavirus happening. Help these kids prepare and being there and being open. And you've heard countless stories about his generosity and his ability just to be there for kids and signing autographs. A great inspiration. Curtis Granderson, who never gets enough credit for his work in baseball, being a kindness humanitarian, and not only being a solid workhorse for both the Yankees, Mets, Detroit Tigers over his big league career. This guy has done amazing work in the inner cities of Chicago, trying to give kids inside of those urban communities hope and an opportunity to really get out and find themselves and to do something with their lives. And Granderson never got the true respect for his humanitarian side. I mean, he won various awards, and he was in baseball, but in the entire United States, Curtis Granderson is an inspiration, a very well-spoken, well-bred, and just an overall good person. And you could tell by the respect that everyone has for him and his work inside of the communities, in urban communities in Chicago, which has gone through so much with shootings and murders in that inner city. It has to be commended. It helps gives children a chance to realize they can get out. And lastly, Dominic Smith from the New York Metropolitans this season. And I've been a big fan of Minnie Mo over the past few years. Minnie Mo standing for Mo Vaughn. Dominic Smith has been a godsend for the Mets. He's actually kept us in several games. And ironically, a kid from South Central Los Angeles, one of the toughest neighborhoods in the country. Dominic Smith found a way not only to get out, but to get out by playing baseball and having a positive attitude and being a genuine guy. And when everything was happening early this year with Black Lives Matter, Dominic Smith did an impassioned interview with Mets.com, with MLB, and seeing how well spoken he was, and seeing how respectful and just describing his incidents, you feel for a good guy like that, and you could tell he's a genuine good guy, a great teammate. But seeing these instances, I really felt for Dom, and seeing his success this year, it has to feel like vindication for him. Dominic Smith's another great athlete in the New York Mets organization. And then on Jackie Robinson Day, Game 1 of the doubleheader, the beautiful 7-inning doubleheaders in each game. Manfred's going to get it soon. I'm going to do a rant on Manfred soon on Unfiltered. But seeing Dom Smith hit that go-ahead home run to put the Mets up top 5-4 in Game 1, I had a big smile on my face because I truly am such a fan of Dominic Smith as an athlete. Since day one, I knew Dom Smith was going to be money, and he proved it here. Another big hit. Dominic Smith has been a major anchor, a godsend in the time of when Cespedes walked away. Dominic Smith, thumbs up to you. And these are 3 men, Eric Young Jr., Curtis Granderson, Dominic Smith, 3 men who have shown their influences, not just in the community, but in the game of baseball. And they have taken on the mantra of Jackie Robinson. And with all that's going on in the world, these are 3 men, combined with countless players in the NBA who do put their money where their mouth is, including the NHL and other sports, and not just in sports, but in other forms of entertainment, like The Rock. Look at The Rock, for Christ's sake. The Rock had $7 in his pocket. Samoan mother, African-American father, found a way to build an entire universe. He has his own world. He's like the best actor in Hollywood, action movie. You want to throw him in a dramatic film, do that. He also owns his own tequila company and the XFL. Major inspiration. In whatever form of entertainment, you got to look in the right places. And guys like I described are positive influences you can look up to. And for me, none bigger than Jackie Robinson. And I want to close this thing out here with a little tale. People ask me, I do get asked from people. We have open discussions, but everyone wants to know: do I support everything going on in the world today? How do I show my support? And you're silent when you speak. As I've alluded to, I am a huge Jackie Robinson fan, and I've been rereading Roger Kahn's Boys of Summer, which is based around the Brooklyn Dodgers, and it has a great description of all the season, the 1952 and 1953 seasons of the Brooklyn Dodgers. But it talks about the struggles that Jackie Robinson goes through, even then, 5 years after being integrated in baseball. And huge fan of Jackie Robinson. And I went to Cooperstown in September, and I picked up, I went looking forever for a Brooklyn Dodgers cap. And I found a snapback. It's the best I can do for the moment at Cooperstown. I picked it up, I bought it, and I've worn it relatively ever since. And a lot of people ask, how do you support? I wear a Brooklyn Dodger cap. The Brooklyn Dodgers, to me, even though you've had countless great players, the Brooklyn Dodgers represent Jackie Robinson. And Jackie Robinson, in my opinion, like I said before, greatest influence in the history of sports. So I support by wearing Jackie Robinson and Brooklyn Dodgers. And I know it might be a little cheesy and whatever, but I do believe. And I truly hope that ultimately in this country we can finally get a grasp on this thing. And I'm a big believer in peace and peaceful protests. And, Martin Luther King Jr., one of the greatest men who have ever existed as well, making change. And I hope we get to that point where there's true change made in this country, and we truly can find that. And whether you find it through sports, entertainment, real life, I just want equality. And I pray for that every day. So I support by wearing Jackie Robinson, the Brooklyn Dodgers cap. And I just wanted to say that. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the first episode of Unfiltered. It's going to be a work in progress. Hopefully I didn't rant too long and bore the hell out of you. But that's what we're going to be doing every week. So check out our YouTube page, Instagram at the Hardway HQ, Facebook, Twitter, Hardway HQ, and hardwayhq.com. See you soon. I'm Jon Harder. Thank you for checking out Unfiltered.